Greetings, everybody. Robin here from Courage is the Cure. Today on Rise, we're going to be talking about corporate media and Charlie Kirk's assassination. Hello to YouTube. I will see you all shortly.
Strength of a woman world on her shoulders. Fight through the noise when the world gets colder. 832, got the grit, got the fire. Watch her rise, watch her come higher.
All right, greetings, everybody. Robin here from Courage is the Cure. Welcome to episode 51 of Rise. It is the 12th of September 2025, and today we're going to be talking about the assassination of Charlie Kirk and my conspiracy, allegedly, let me put it that way, that corporate media is the virus. First of all, as I said, hello to YouTube. I am streaming to YouTube. I'm going to watch my P's and Q's because of community guidelines and standards, not censorship. Just like many people have been saying over the past few days, we will not be silent. So hello YouTube, and hello to everybody on Rumble and everywhere else. Hello Willow the Wisp. Hello, how are you? So unless you've been doing other things, of course, which people do, we have had the Christian conservative, excuse me, I'm stumbling over my words already, leader of Turning Point, Mr. Charlie Kirk, was assassinated. And unlike corporate media with their headlines like killed, a couple of other words, no, I'm going to use the language of what it is. I'm sick and tired of being told 1984 news speak. I'm not going to participate in that anymore. He was assassinated. I'm not participating in that nonsense anymore. So just awful. Just awful. Yes, beautiful life. Just absolutely awful. Hello, Keith. Keith has said, what a sad, sad day to take such an amazing human away from all the benefits he offered society. Yes, absolutely terrible. Hello, Willie's Desert Hangout. Nice to see you back here again. So today we're going to be talking about Charlie's assassination and in particular corporate media. Anybody who spends any time watching me knows I have a big chip on my shoulder about corporate media. And in this case, we're going to be covering what Charlie did, why he was so well known, or one of the reasons why he was so well known. I'm going to play Mark Dice's video. I don't want to reinvent the wheel, and Mark Dice is an amazing independent journalist. So I'm going to play you his video. We're also going to be talking about, obviously, the media and ideological subversion, corporate media being the virus, celebrating, legitimizing murder, and normalizing political violence. We'll get onto that in a little bit. Then we're going to end the show with Michael Gray Griffith's song that he wrote about Charlie. If you're on YouTube, I will end the stream there because YouTube are funny about music. So if you want to hear Michael's song, you can go along and find Cafe Locked Out on any other social media platform apart from YouTube, and you can listen to that song. Okay, everybody, shall we? Thank you. Does it hang out? Yes. Hello, Kathy. Yes, it's shocking. Appreciate everyone being here too, because I know Joel Jamal from Turning Point Australia is live at the moment with Johnny Lada and Graham Hood. So I appreciate everyone that is here at the moment. Right, so let's get on with first part of the show. I heard or read something fantastic. I thought it was. You know, lots of people talking about Charlie Kirk being assassinated because of what he spoke about, because of his opinions. Isn't it ironic that he went around to university campuses, spoke to people on the left of politics, if you like, and actually provided them an opportunity to talk and express their opinions and engage in debate. And he has been assassinated because of his views. Now, if that doesn't make people have a bit of a think about themselves and the world, I don't know what would. So what I saw this morning was not only, as everyone's been saying, you know, he's been assassinated because of his opinions, his thoughts, what, you know, talking about all the rest of it, but also because what? People listened to him. People listened. I think that's a really important point because the evil that is upon us in this world can let others speak unencumbered and others not, because what? A lot of people hear and listen to what they're saying, and the evil can't have that. All right, so let's get on. I want to show you a quick video from um, Charlie, and he talks about what he does. In case anybody hasn't spent any time or been able to catch any of his work, did many things, but just want to play this for everybody. Here we
around universities and have challenging conversations, and because that's what is so important to our country, is to find our disagreements respectfully, because when people stop talking, that's when violence happens.
I've never seen someone do this.
Well, it's a growing trend because people like me are facing violence, assaults. The left. Yes, the campus Antifa. I've been stormed out of restaurants. I've been assaulted publicly, multiple death threats.
Okay, so what's your goal in all this?
There's more people that agree with me than some people would actually believe, and they come out of the woodwork when I do stuff like this. We record all of it so that we put it on the internet so people can see these ideas collide. When people stop talking, that's when you get violence. That's when civil war happens, because you start to think the other side is so evil and they lose their humanity.
So when people stop talking, you get violence. And as I just mentioned about the evil and corporate media, and we'll get on to ideological subversion, they don't want people talking, do they? So that's just a little description there from Charlie himself. Yes, Keith. So Keith just said Charlie had the most intelligent, sympathetic way of appreciating all people that he debated with absolute humility. I mean, even just there, you know, with that lady saying, I've never seen anybody do this. Why would you do that? You know, he's much more composed and humble than I am. Someone said to me, why are you doing this? So I'd be thinking in the back of my mind, because I'm a terrible person. I can't believe you don't know why we do. I can't believe you can't understand why people would do it. Anyway, I don't know. I'm stumbling over my words, you know. It's just astonishing. I still don't know what to think. I mean, I'm just gonna be quiet and move on. Alright, so I'm gonna move on to Mark Dice. Now, Mark Dice is a wonderful independent journalist. He's one of the OGs from the start of YouTube. He's completely independent. He has worked all these years from his kitchen bench with his computer. Hello, Tash. And Mark Dice, I saw his video yesterday that he'd uploaded in regards to Charlie's assassination, and he touches on many of the things that I wanted to touch on this morning. So I thought, listen, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. We're going to watch it together, and then we're going to move on to some other things. Mark Dice is absolutely amazing, and he's a media analyst. That's why I really admire Mark Dice. And so we're going to watch this together. So Mark Dice's video, you can please go along to Mark Dice on YouTube and follow Mark over there. Here we go.
This video, we're all very sad, very upset, very sick by what happened to Charlie. So I'm going to read my initial statement about this, and then I'm going to show some of the liberal media's reactions to this, and just a small sample of the countless lunatics online who are celebrating what happened. And then I'm going to make a suggestion, one thing that I want to see come out of this I think would be extremely important and very necessary. So my initial thoughts, the liberal media killed Charlie Kirk. Them and the unscrupulous Democrats in Congress who created a hysteria with their relentless propaganda, depicting President Trump as the reincarnation of Hitler and his inner circle and even his average supporters as fascists. Liberals couldn't win the debates against Charlie Kirk when he visited college campuses across the country because their ideas are garbage and they are immoral fools, so they killed him in hopes of silencing his message, which has only put a spotlight on it and will cause it to spread 1,000 times faster and further than it was already going. Rest in peace, Charlie. President Trump, who wasn't just an admirer of Charlie Kirk and very grateful for what he's done for his campaign, for conservatism, for reaching the youth on countless college campuses across the country over the years, also a personal friend of Charlie's, issued this statement from the Oval Office.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie was also a man of deep faith, and we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain. This is a dark moment for America. Charlie Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever, to share his love of country and to spread the simple words of common sense. On campuses nationwide, he championed his ideas with courage, logic, humor, and grace. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight, I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died, the values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed, because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come. Today, because of this heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close. May God bless his memory, may God watch over his family, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Of course.
So I'm just going to pause it there. Want it to be top of mind as we go through the show. Trump used the word terrorism there, and we're going to talk about that a little later on in the show. Let's get back to Mark Dice.
The servants of Satan in the mainstream media are very upset that President Trump paid tribute to Charlie and vowed to avenge his death.
He put out a 4-minute video, and I'm not going to play the video. I don't want to play the video, but there was a line.
Oh, don't want the audience at MSNBC to hear what the President of the United States had to say about the most horrifying political assassination in America in generations.
Isn't that a disgrace, everybody? Now, here we go. We're going to be stopping and starting Mark Dice's video. What an absolute disgrace. He put out a 4-minute video. I'm not going to play the video. What, you can't even play a 10-second soundbite? Hey, this is corporate media. Let's not forget, during Trump's political campaign, that when he was live, even now when he goes live, they refuse to play the footage. Disgusting.
Can't do that.
Line at the end that I think is, I just wanted to raise and read. At the end of this 4-minute video, he says, "For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today."
Yeah, that's pretty obvious. People like you.
And it must stop right now. And obviously, there's a lot of rhetoric that is problematic. A lot of it is coming from one particular side and from one particular building.
Oh, so it's the right who are spewing dangerous rhetoric. One particular building from the White House. Oh.
Did you hear that? Coming from one particular side and one particular building. Hey? We all know this is not true. We all know that it's the so-called people on the left that respond with violence. We all know that, corporate media. You are a disgrace to the term journalism. You're a disgrace to your fellow human beings, especially at such a time when you're supposed to be reporting on the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I mean, when are we going to stop allowing corporate media to feed this stuff to the general public? When are people going to stop saying, oh, why isn't this story on corporate media? We really need to get this out to the masses. Why isn't the media reporting on it? You know why they're not reporting on it. You know why none of this that we've been talking about for the past 5 years is ever on corporate media. They drop those little pieces, the limited hangouts, so they can use that later on down the track to lie to you again. Not only do we need to stop accepting this political violence from the left, we have to stop accepting this so-called profession called journalism from corporate media. These people are part of the problem.
But what can be done? I fear when this is an escalation already in less than 24 hours of this shooting.
Oh, President Trump is escalating the rhetoric by accurately describing who it was that caused this hysteria, which incited a lunatic to engage in this assassination. This is the kind of insanity that passes for supposed news on the left.
Talk to me about the environment in which a shooting like this happens.
Well, I've just described it, but she's asking one of her guests to describe his assessment, obviously.
Yeah, and again, emphasize what you just emphasized. We don't know any of the full details of this. We don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea about this.
Yeah, you obviously have no idea about this, so why are you on air talking about it?
But following up on what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who has constantly...
What is wrong with people? Are we listening to this? He's one of the most divisive. Are you kidding me? When are we going to stop accepting this? When are people going to stop accepting this from corporate media? What an absolute disgrace.
sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions.
Yeah, and that's the left. And people want to, let's not make it about the right and the left and all the rest of it. Unfortunately, through what? Rhetoric, propaganda, brainwashing, ideological subversion, we do have a faction on the left who have been completely brainwashed. And they need to have absolutely revolting people like this on corporate media reaffirming to the left that what they're thinking is correct and that it's the people on the far right that are violent. This is the insanity of corporate media. The media is the virus.
And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Matt.
And that's the unfortunate environment we're in.
So he's blaming Charlie Kirk for exercising his freedom of speech. Hate speech! This incident couldn't make the left look any worse. Not only did they assassinate one of the most prominent and powerful conservatives in America, but they did it during a debate when he literally was encouraging people to come up and openly challenge his ideas exercising the foundational freedom that we have in this country, which the left obviously hates so much that they will do anything to try to stop those who they oppose. Barack Obama issued this statement saying, "We don't yet know what motivated the person who shot and killed Charlie Kirk. We just have no idea. I mean, maybe it was just an armed robbery gone bad, hey, Barry? But this kind of despicable violence has no place in our democracy, blah, blah, blah. Michael and I will be praying for Charlie's family tonight." Sure you will. And because Charlie was such a prominent figure in conservative media, in politics, revitalizing and re-energizing conservatism on college campuses across the country. And I know I've been a big critic of his for years over particular issues. As a media analyst, I just don't cheerlead people. I criticize, analyze, tell you the good, bad, and the ugly, but also at the same time was always very appreciative and respectful of Charlie's incredible work. Even the New York Yankees held a moment of silence for him yesterday before the game. And it's
and just noting a moment of silence, in the EU Parliament, there was a gentleman, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, he wanted to yield his time for a minute of silence in the EU Parliament. And you know what? The President, Miss Ursula, that lady that looks like the other lady from the Hunger Games, wouldn't allow it. Wouldn't allow it. I had my husband listen to the person that was presiding over the meeting because she was speaking German. My German's only good enough to order a coffee or a beer. And she said it doesn't matter because they'd had multiple requests from people at EU Parliament to have a minute's silence, multiple requests. And the person presiding over it said, no, the president said it doesn't matter how many requests we have, we're not allowing it. Not allowing it. Hey? Why do you think that is?
Reckless and immoral political rhetoric like this from Governor Gavin Newsom, which contributed to this environment, which inspired this monster.
I'm sorry. I know some people's sensibilities. I respect and appreciate that. But right now, with all due respect, we're walking down a damn different path. We're fighting fire with fire, and we're going to punch these sons of bitches in the mouth.
I mean, when you got the most powerful Democrat senator openly threatening Supreme Court justices and feeling completely safe to do so with no legal or political repercussions, you know that there's something very wrong in this country.
You have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
How are Supreme Court justices supposed to pay a price? They're nominated once they're confirmed. They're on the bench for life.
You won't know what hit you.
But here's MSNBC anchor Nicole Wallace lying like a servant of Satan with her silver.
Yeah, servant of Satan. Mark, I'm stealing that. Servant of Satan. Just listen to Miss Wallace.
Tongue, telling her audience that only people on the right use and engage in violent rhetoric.
The permission structure for violence. You've got polls about political violence. Democrats don't think it's a good idea. Only Republicans. Only people inclined to consume conservative media are now, I think, upward of 50% say that if necessary, violence is okay. You've only got the conduct on one of the two sides.
Oh, it's only one of the two sides. Of course, everything is upside down and backwards.
Yeah, only saying that the right thinks violence is okay. Hey, here's a news flash for anyone watching overseas that isn't part of Australian spin and media and these influencers and people giving talks at the National Press Club. I think it was Hannah Ferguson. And her response to this, if you haven't seen it, you want to go and check it out.
These people. Here is just a small sample of people publicly celebrating Charlie's assassination on TikTok. There may be some swearing in here. I'm not going to go through and bleep out these words from these creatures. I don't have the time. and people need to hear what it is that they're thinking. And again, this is just a small sample of what are most likely.
So here we go, everybody. He's saying a small sample. These are the people. These are the people that have been brainwashed, perverted. The targets of this ideological subversion, which the corporate media has been used. I talk about corporate media being a government megaphone. They're also the megaphone for these evil, disgusting creatures who want to subvert society. And these people were the target, and it's done the job. It's done the job. Here we go.
Just thousands and thousands of people that are publicly doing it, let alone those who are privately celebrating.
So 2 things that I want to say that probably.
So she captioned it, "My thoughts on Charlie Kirk pew-pewing." Get it? They're trying to use code words so that the algorithm doesn't detect them using these incendiary words.
Will get me in trouble on this app and probably get me flamed, especially by the right. Number one, I think it's kind of poetic justice that the man who was spreading nothing but hatred and, dishonest rhetoric got pew-pewed in the throat.
A guy who was willing to openly debate his ideas on campuses across the country. That's just poetic justice for her. This person posted on Facebook thanking the shooter.
So I'm going to be very fucking clear about this so that you know exactly where I stand.
Oh, we already know your fluorescent hair makes it already abundantly clear.
And I will say this with my whole entire chest. There are some people on this app that are sitting there saying, oh, you shouldn't wish death upon any person, no matter what side they're on. Fuck that. Fuck that. Charlie Kirk was a fucking Nazi. He was a fucking Nazi. And you know what kind of Nazi is the best Nazi? A dead one.
Hello, Internet. I regret to inform you.
So I'm just going to talk to Peyton Cheryl's comment here. Why give those mentally deranged creatures airtime? If you can bear to make it through to the rest of the show, Rise is about turning information into ammunition, and without witnessing for yourself the degradation of our society and what I will talk about, which is how the media has been used to subvert society, how that's been used, how that the tools, the steps, unless we acknowledge and can identify where this is happening and we can no longer accept it, things aren't going to change. So it's the same thing that I had for the 31st of August rally. I had 2 neo-Nazis right in front of my camera. I didn't turn it off. I didn't tell them to shut up, because we need to identify these people. And I don't have to explain myself to anybody. So if Peyton, you don't want to listen, you're more than welcome to go and watch something else. Thank you.
That Charlie Kirk, co-founder of Turning Point USA, was shot in the neck while speaking at an event at Utah Valley University. Please join me in this moment of silence.
This is how sick these people are.
We need to start using some of the tactics from the left and use the tool of cancel culture to get these people fired from their jobs. Because if you own a company, would you want to be in the vicinity of anybody who is this evil, who would celebrate the murder of anybody, let alone a peaceful person engaging in a debate on a college campus? These are the kinds of people who, really should be rounded up and institutionalized.
Fucking stoked right now.
Notice how they're all just dysgenic, just green hair, fluorescent hair, nose rings. They're just mutants.
You want to know why I'm so fucking stoked? Go ahead and Google Charlie Kirk. Go ahead.
Publicly posting this, not just talking about this amongst her friends when she's drunk or just in the privacy of their own home, publicly posting this for the world to see. Chuck Yeager over at the Young Turks, who does have a severe case of Trump derangement syndrome, but does call out a lot of the corruption on the left, posted this video sounding like a normal human should.
Charlie Kirk was shot in Utah giving a speech there. I just found out he's passed away. I can't believe he's dead. He was shot in the neck. Some of you might have seen an elderly man being dragged away. Turns out it was not him. Authorities don't know who did it. Violence is not the answer. This is a horrific tragedy, and we're all in danger now. This is a terrible, terrible thing to do. Violence is intellectual surrender. It's giving up and saying, I'm a loser. I don't know how to win in a battle of ideas. I'm going to resort to violence like an animal. It is the very last thing anyone who's progressive or on the left would ever do. We are for nonviolence. We are for peace. We are for our fellow human beings and humanity overall. So I don't know who did this, but whoever they are, they're a monster, and they've done something terrible. That was not just a pundit. That was a human being. I'm so sorry to the Charlie Kirk family.
I'm not going to show the video and the videos for obvious reasons. They're very graphic. I almost became ill when I saw it yesterday. They're floating around on social media, on Instagram, on Twitter, on X. And at first I was almost going to caution people not to watch it because it's so disturbing. But I almost think that people, especially on the left, should see it. Because they should see what it is that their rhetoric, that the mainstream media, that these satanic Democrats in Congress, what they have done. And it looks like Charlie was wearing a bulletproof vest. You can see what looks to be one of the straps here from a vest that is perhaps like this, knowing very well that this was a possibility. And it looks like the bullet actually hit the vest in his upper chest, lower neck, and then ricocheted up and then struck his neck. So very well aware of this possibility. In fact, posting on Twitter, on X not long ago, assassination culture is spreading on the left. 48% of liberals say that it would be at least somewhat justified to murder Elon Musk. 55% said the same thing about Donald Trump. In California, activists are naming ballot measures after Luigi Mangione. The left is being whipped into a violent frenzy. Any setback, whether losing an election or losing a court case, justifies a maximally violent response for them. This is the natural outgrowth of left-wing protest culture, tolerating violence and mayhem for years on end. The cowardice of local prosecutors and school officials have turned the left into a ticking time bomb. That he posted earlier this year in April. Oh, and then there's this from Rabbi Shmuley, this phony Jewish rabbi who posted, today, as we witnessed yet another attempt to silence pro-Israel voices, obviously referring to Charlie, we are reminded of the constant threats facing Rabbi Shmuley. For years, he had stood boldly for Israel and the Jewish people, and yet has been physically assaulted in Vienna, Miami, Sydney, and even in Times Square. And then he lists links to his GoFundMe page. Donate now. Urgent appeal, protect Rabbi Shmuley. If you don't know who he is that butt plug rabbi. He literally sells butt plugs at an LGBTQ sex shop over in Israel. And I know a lot of people that doesn't compute because they still think that Israel being a Jewish country means that it's a Jewish religious country. And I've tried to impress this distinction on people for years. The majority of Jews, especially in Israel, are secular Jews. They're ginos. They're Jews in name only. They're not religious Jews. They're atheists. They are nothing. They have nothing to do with the religion of the ancient Israelites. And then there's phonies like this who pretend to be a rabbi and pretend to be a religious Jew while it's all just a scam. Charlie Kirk was so demonized by the mainstream media that Jezebel, an online waste of cyberspace, feminist blog, says that they paid some Etsy witches to curse Charlie Kirk. And while he was a big supporter of Israel, which we all know is mandatory to be in the inner circle of mainstream conservative media and the Republican Party, over the last few years, he has been stepping out of line and saying things that I've covered here, supporting him, congratulating him, respecting him for daring to say things like this.
And Jewish donors, they have a lot of explaining to do, a lot of decoupling to do, because Jewish donors have been the #1 funding mechanism of radical, open border, neoliberal, quasi-Marxist policies, cultural institutions, and nonprofits. This is a beast created by secular Jews. And now it's coming for Jews, and they're like, what on earth happened?
That's bold. That's a really bold thing to say. Up until recently, you would never, and even still, you would hardly ever hear anybody in the mainstream conservative movement or media dare to even hint at such things. But he went even further. He pointed out the 11th commandment. Thou shalt not criticize Israel for any reason whatsoever. Listen to this.
We're just going to try to, we're going to just stamp out everything type of practice. But
he's talking about how they will just shut down any criticism, no matter how small, immediately to prevent it from spreading and to prevent that person from continuing to say what they say.
But it goes to the point where if, for example, if I have less ability sometimes online to criticize the Israeli government without backlash than actual Israelis do. Mm-hmm. And that's really, really weird, isn't it, Megan?
See, he knows what's going on. He just, he's got to be a little more delicate about it. But like we know it's weird, Charlie. Thank you for pointing that out.
Megan, that's
it's
not
so
right.
Wrong-headed. I'll tell you this. For me,
they even lost Megyn Kelly on a lot of this. He even hinted that the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, Israel's military, allowed the October 7th attack from Hamas to happen. Okay. It didn't say why. We all know why, as a pretext, as a justification to then ethnically cleanse the Palestinians from the region. And no, I did not say genocide. I said ethnically cleanse. They're obviously driving them and pretty much have driven them from the region. Big difference between ethnic cleansing and a genocide. That's why I choose my words very carefully. But this is what Charlie dared to say about that.
I've been to Israel many times. The whole country's a fortress. When I first heard this story, I still have the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border.
That they didn't know.
You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun that's an IDF soldier, right? The whole country is surveilled. And so let me just kind of go through this. We don't talk about Israeli politics very often, and most Americans don't know this. The last 9 months, Israel was on the brink of civil war. It's not an exaggeration. This judicial stuff, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets because Bibi Netanyahu was basically redefining the Israeli constitution. That's not an exaggeration, right? He said the judicial branch has too much power. There were protests planned this week against Netanyahu where they anticipated tens of thousands of people to take to the streets. That's all gone, Patrick. Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a mandate to lead. I'm not willing to go so far that saying that Netanyahu knew or there was intelligence here. But I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand-down order? Was there a stand-down order? 6 hours? I don't believe it. Israel's the size of New Jersey. When I took a helicopter ride from Jerusalem to the Gaza border, it's 45 minutes. Wow. 6 hours. They're live streaming the killing of Jews. Did somebody in the government say stand down?
That's beyond bold. That's a very risky thing to do. That's the kind of thing when somebody in Charlie's position starts talking about things like that could get Mossad to try to get rid of you. I'm not saying that's what happened, but this is the kind of talk from someone so prominent that usually starts to cause some problems for them.
Epstein, with his little friend Ghislaine and Ghislaine's father, Robert Maxwell, who is obviously a spy of the Israeli intelligence agencies, that there was something else going on here. Epstein was not some sort of whiz-kid hedge fund manager. Epstein was playing a part. Epstein was a LARPer. Epstein was cast for a specific role, and he played it really well. The sweatpants and the Harvard jacket, the kind of disheveled hair, looking as if he was so smart and above the clouds that he was doing advanced mathematic equations on the back of napkins. But if you actually go into some of the videos of people that met with Epstein at the time, they said he was awfully unimpressive when it came to finance and markets and economics. And it's nothing new that if you're in the intel agencies, you want to try and get as much blackmail on powerful people as possible. Easy, not hard. And this is no longer just speculation. First of all,
we know Thanks for all you've done, Charlie. Rest in peace. And one thing that I think must be done in the wake of this tragedy is every college campus in this country should have a building that bears his name, Charlie Kirk Hall, as a way to commemorate him, everything that he fought for, everything he stood for free speech and debate on college campuses across this country, not just for those who are alive today, but as a way to teach students far, far into the future. Kids who aren't even alive today. So when they grow up and they go to college, they can learn, they must learn what happened to Charlie, what the liberal media did, what these Democrats did, and how they tried to silence free speech and how it only caused his message to spread farther and faster. I don't even know how to start this video.
So there we go, everybody. That is Mark Dice's video from yesterday. As I said, please go along to Mark Dice on YouTube if you're not already subscribed to Mark Dice. He is independent and a great media analyst. And as I said, I wasn't going to reinvent the wheel. Fantastic video from Mark Dice. So, to continue on to the last part of the show, using the left's tactics of cancel culture, all these sorts of things, not giving them airtime, all those sorts of things, not only does that, freedom of speech, so on and so forth, but, we do need to learn from this. And why do we need to learn from this? So that we can talk to other people. They want us to be quiet. I mean, we heard Charlie say at the start of the show when I played that video about him describing what he does, that when people stop talking, there's violence, right? Anyway, so and I've talked about this before as far as ideological subversion, and this is what's happened to our young people. This is why the brain rot, the woke ideology has affected our young people. Oh, interesting, Dawn. So we saw some of the revolting posts of the left and Democrats celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I'm just going to put up, I mean, this is endless. These are screenshots of awful, disgusting things. We don't need to read them out. I mean, it just goes on. I mean, there's memes everywhere about this stuff. I mean, it's absolutely abhorrent, absolutely abhorrent. And how has this happened? It's happened through ideological subversion. And without the media, just like during the COVID war, with making sure everybody was fearful so everyone would comply, the media is also being used in this circumstance as well to subvert our society. So I did a show, must have been in the series Morning Rise, long time ago now, talking about Yuri Bezmenov's popularizing ideological subversion. I mean, this is psychological warfare, right? That has a few different steps to it. It's a slow, deliberate attempt to erode society. And Yuri talks about it taking a couple of generations. They have a few different steps to it. If you want to go back and find my video, you can. Demoralization, destabilization, crisis, normalization, agents of influence. How do they do this? They use our universities, they use our media, all these sorts of things. We know the woke culture, the woke ideology. It's not even a culture. I'm not even going to use that word, because culture actually connotes something of value that sits with a particular group of people, they use our institutions, our media, to erode a society from within. And this is what has happened. And if we can't see through the examples, as hard as it was to sit through just now, just to see those few examples, and there's thousands and thousands and thousands of them on social media, glorifying, legitimizing, celebrating the assassination of a man. I don't know what is a good enough example for people to recognize this has happened. This has happened under our watch. And it's about time that we say this is enough. And one of the ways that I myself do that is by calling out corporate media. I constantly do it because corporate media are the virus. Now, I want to move on to, we're going to screen the share. When we heard from President Trump, he mentioned the word terrorism. Because when you think about what's been going on with the violence, political violence, normalizing violence, corporate media inciting violence because of ideological views, doesn't that sound like a definition of terrorism? So I went along to Grok and said, "What? Give me a definition of terrorism." Well, apparently now it's no, there's no universally agreed upon legal or scientific definition, largely due to its subjective application across government, scholars, and contexts. Right? It kind of sounds like how they mucked around with the definition of vaccination, right? So, let's just listen to this. United States Code involves acts dangerous to human life that violate US or state criminal laws appear intended to intimidate or coerce a civilian population, to influence government policy by intimidation or coercion, to affect government conduct by mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping. FBI, the unlawful use of force or violence against persons or property to intimidate or coerce a government or civilian population in furtherance of political or social objectives. Does that not sound like what corporate media is used for? Ideological subversion, to coerce a civilian population in furtherance of political or social objectives? Hey, let's have a look at the United Nations. As a minimum, involves the intimidation or coercion of populations or governments through the threat or perpetration of acts of violence causing death, serious injury, or hostage taking with the purpose of achieving political, ideological, or other aims. European Union, intentional acts, bombings, hijackings, or threats thereof that seriously damage a country or international organisation committed with the aim of seriously intimidating a population? Hey? You think conservatives or people on the right don't feel intimidated and we've had enough, hey? By the left's political violence, threats of violence, media inciting violence? Committed to the aim of seriously intimidating a population, unduly compelling a government to perform or abstain from an act, or seriously destabilising, destroying fundamental political, constitutional, economic, or social structures. I mean, I just said, how do they do it? They infiltrate our academia. We're having our children indoctrinated at school with this white guilt about whites being colonizers. It's being introduced right under our noses. The Merriam-Webster dictionary, the unlawful use or threat of violence, especially against the state or public, as a politically motivated means of attack or coercion. Hey? motivated means of attack or coercion, right? When you see that footage of Charlie Kirk being assassinated, not only is that a nudge to people like me who put their face on camera and say, hey, if you continue talking, don't you think we're not going to come for you? They're not just doing that to people like me, and I'm a no one. They're doing it to every single person that was coming up to that, sitting on the fence. Oh, I don't know if I really agree with this or not, but I kind of know something's going on. They assassinated him live on camera as a form of attack and coercion and intimidation to every single person across this globe who dare think that not following the narrative, not bowing down to this ideological subversion is acceptable. They want people silent. They want people to not talk. They're intimidating people. They're coercing people. They're attacking people. They're using violence against people so that you bow down. You will submit to this ideological subversion. You will bow down. What else? We got the last definition here: academic consensus, peacetime equivalents of war crimes. Ideologically motivated violence or threats thereof are directed against non-combatants to instill fear and influence targets beyond immediate victims, typically by subnational groups or clandestine agents. These disgusting, awful creatures who don't have the testicular fortitude to show their faces are subnational groups and clandestine agents. So if that's not terrorism, if what's been happening, what we saw happen to Charlie, and it's not just him, it's just brought it to the forefront, top of mind for everybody, Jean-Pierre. If it isn't terrorism, then what is it? And corporate media are being used to erode our society from within. Corporate media is the virus. So tomorrow we have rallies happening around capital cities in Australia. Australia unites against government corruption, mass migration. Depending on which capital city you are going to attend, they have a couple of different other things. I know in Western Australia, another focus will be digital ID. Like Michael Grey Griffith from Cafe Locked-Out has been saying, Graham Hood, I am Charlie Kirk. We are Charlie Kirk. And like I just said there, televising the assassination of a gentleman like that who dare go against the attempts to subvert society from within. It's not just the people like me who put our faces on camera, it's you as well. They want you to shut up. They want you to stop talking. They want you to submit. And if you don't, you better watch out. So I am Charlie Kirk. You are Charlie Kirk. We all are Charlie Kirk. And unless we say this is absolutely enough, and these corporate media less than human puppets, unless we stop allowing them to maintain any level of credibility, one of their greatest tools, which is the media, is going to continue to erode our society from within. Corporate media will never show you anything, will never televise anything, will never expose anything that is truthful, loving, kind, compassionate for the greater good of humanity. They are part of the problem. They are part of this ideological subversion. Hello from Canada. So if you are going to the rally tomorrow, I will be speaking in Perth. Fear is the virus. I will not be quiet. I will not submit. If you are going tomorrow, go with love in your heart. I know I'm going with a righteous anger as well. Yes, I agree, Tash. I have awoken a sleeping giant. Absolutely. Go with compassion and love in your heart, and also a righteous anger, and use it constructively to talk to people in a loving, kind, compassionate, humble way. Because we can turn information into ammunition. And unlike the people and the organisations and the media outlets who choose to celebrate, legitimise murder, normalise political violence, incite violence, greenlight perhaps my conspiracy allegedly, assassination culture. Unlike those people, we will continue to turn information into ammunition for the betterment of our children and the future's children as well. Yes, Maria, continue to raise the volume. Exactly. Bring the noise. Great podcast. Another one you should go and check out. So I hope people do go out tomorrow to your capital city, wherever your rally may be. Please check out Ideological Subversion. Arm yourself with that information so you can identify it. And then when you're talking to people, you might just be sitting at the pub enjoying a nice beer, and you might just be able to help somebody to understand what they're listening to, what they're watching, what they're being subjected to, the erosion of the very society that you're living in from within. This is how we can help people. Our words are our power. Our words are our power. YouTube, I am going to end the stream for you because I'm going to end the show with Michael Griffith's song, A Song for a Man Called Charlie. YouTube are funny about things like that. So you can go along to Cafe Lockdown on any other platform and listen to that song, but not on YouTube because YouTube weird. So I'm going to say goodbye to everybody on YouTube. Thanks for joining me. Stay relentless.